Can you feel it now? Check it. Dopamine.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am DSummers90 and welcome back to DTR. Tonight we are in Las Vegas, Nevada, and this is Division 1. We only have 14 drivers with us tonight. A little bit disappointing, but it's Vegas. Not many drivers actually enjoy this track, so we kind of understand it. But it should be a good race nonetheless. While the drivers are going out on their outlaps, let's bring up the standings. As we can see, Grelis managed to pull out a P2 and make a slight gap at Brazil, extending up to 164, ahead of Miyagi with 143. Benny not all that far behind with the 124. We have Mira on a 105, and then there's a big gap back down to P5 Cavolis. So yeah, there's only a few races left to go, and there's still a little bit of a gap to catch up, but depending on how Grelis races these races, he could be overtaken by Miyagi or even potentially Benny. So we will see what happens. And I believe it is Benny who is first out on the track. So we will follow him on his outlap, warming up the soft tyres. The tyres do cool down a lot on these very long straights, especially down the strip, which he has just come off of. So let's go on board with Benny for his first flying lap. So heavy braking into the first turn, which is also the second turn there. Oh, a bit of a wobble. Goes through turn 3 and 4. Weirdly enough, they class that as 2 corners, the same with the first one. Down the DRS straight into turn 5. Now it's what we would know as the Mickey Mouse section. This is a very difficult braking zone. Even in the dry, you have to get it bang on to make sure you're in for that chicane completely. Now there are bumps on the right hand side of this part of the track. There we go, just went over it. Is Benny going to be impeded? No, that is his teammate ahead. He is getting a tow. Good teamwork from the McLarens. Here's Bogrovsky going to get out of the way nice and quick for Benny. There he goes. Heavy braking onto the final 3 corners. Nasty chicane. Not great. If you're a Williams fan, you will remember Colapinto hitting that when he was reserving in. And across the line, that's a 1:31.245. Let's see, who would be next? Is it Cassell? Yes, it is. Sorry, Havoc Connor, I completely missed that you were following Benny there. He has put in a 1:32.4. Not a bad lap time for Havoc Connor around here. Let's see what Cassell can do. We will come off of the onboard. Cassell, 1:32.9. Masked Ranger will be the next one to set a time. 1:31.5. Not too far from Benny's time there. Let's see. We now have Grelis coming across the line. 1:31.3. Even closer to Benny, but still not enough to get in front of him. We now have Andre reserving in the Ferrari. Kind of makes sense considering in Division 2 he does race in the Ferrari car. And that is a 1:32.8 from the Polish driver. Let's see. Moncho is coming into the pits. I'm going to guess that Bog got himself a tow from Benny down the strip as well, which will help his initial quali run even. And it's a 33.9, not the best of laps from Bogorovsky there. We expect a little better from him. Let us see, who is the next car? It will be Tom Putty will be the next car to cross the line in anger, as it were. Also reserving up tonight. We did have 3 reserves, but 1 could not make it. NLD Rush, which is unfortunate. Would have been nice to have 15 instead of 14, but that's just the way my brain works. And Tom puts it into 7 with a 1:32.986. Miyagi is the next man out. He has still got his pink livery on that V-carb that they ran in, I believe it was Miami in 2025. Let's see where Miyagi can put his car. He only goes 4th with a 1:31.6. So the front 4 are really, really close together at this moment in time. Only 4 tenths, just over 4 tenths, separate the top 4. That is going to be an interesting battle. Stewart has invalidated his lap. Where was Stewart? He was there. Who is that? That is his teammate on an outlap, so we will stick with Mirror. Another driver we've seen can have really quick pace around these tracks in this division, but it just hasn't come together for him in the form of a win, I don't believe. Oh, a bit of a slide out of the final chicane. Is that going to hinder his time? He puts it on P3 with a 1:31.533. Good lap from the Alpine driver. Now we have Miyagi's teammate Giannis, both drivers sporting the pink livery tonight. Oh, big lock up from Giannis and invalidates on the inside curb. That's unfortunate. That seemed to be a bit of a panic braking. Just couldn't ease onto the brakes. He slammed them on, and yeah, I understand that. You're going over 215 miles an hour towards a corner and you misjudge your braking, you are going to slam the brakes. So let's see what Kavolis can do for his banker lap. I still love this Williams Golf-inspired livery. Very clean through there. Maybe a little bit too much curb taken, but we will see. How quick is this Williams going to be tonight? He puts it in 6th, while 1:31.9. Good lap from Kavolis. Stewart is going again. He's coming to the end of the strip now. Hard on the anchors, taking a fair amount of curb, not too much. Takes a bit of the exit curb, almost put it in the wall like Colapinto. Around the final corner, he replaces his teammate in P6 with a 1:31.799. So the only drivers who haven't set times are Moncho and Giannis at this moment in time. So Masked Ranger is out, Bogorovsky is out and has invalidated, but I believe this is an out lap. Actually, no, that was his lap. Oh dear. Let's see. There is Cassell. So Cassell is just ahead of Masked Ranger on this fast lap, so we will stay on with him. Masked Ranger seemed to be having a little bit of a wobble at the back there. Wasn't the cleanest exit out of the left-hander onto the strip. Both drivers will be pushing as hard as they can to try and go faster, especially Masked Ranger after winning at Brazil last week. That was a surprise win for most of us, but a well-deserved win. He pretty much showed how strategy can make a win. Cassell does go faster, but Masked Ranger has not improved his time, unfortunately. Stewart is now coming into the pits. Tom Putty is on a flying lap. Let's have a look. Grelis is also on a flying lap as we have a look around. Of course, Grelis is sporting the Japan livery for the Red Bull yet again. It's a very nice livery. I do like it. It does confuse some people. I've seen other commentators mistake it for the Racing Bull, and he goes top of the table with a 1:31.047. Will anyone get into the 1:30s? That is the real question now. And now we've got Tom Putty on his fast lap. Let's see what he can do. He goes up to P10 with a 1:32.7. Good lap from Tom Putty. Now, is Masked Ranger doing another fast lap? I'm not certain. No, he is not. Miyagi is, however, on a fast lap now, followed by his teammate further down the strip. Rather conservative, not necessarily quick through the final chicane, but very clean. Up to P3, a 1:31.472. Let's go on with his teammate, who will be the next one to come across the line. He was unfortunate the first time to invalidate in the final chicane, And he goes up to P9 with a 132.344. I have a feeling Giannis doesn't really like Vegas as a racetrack. Now we have Andre. He has done another lap. Bogorovsky has just started his flying lap. He will be looking to improve and get himself, I would say, around the 131.5, 131.4 mark, if he can. He doesn't have any obstructions in front of him. It's just down to him, the car, and the walls. So just before all of the insanity ensues, if you wish to join the league in any capacity, whether it's a commentator, just a supporter, a driver, a steward, join the Discord. It's down below in the description. Join the Discord, make yourself known, and we will welcome you in. So now, Bogorovsky, the owner of the league, is now coming through the final chicane a little bit wide on the left-hander, but that might work well for him with his setup. Who knows? And he does go faster, but not as fast as he would have wanted. A 31.854. He was about a tenth and a half faster. We will have a look at Havoc Connor, although I believe Stewart is ahead of him. Oh, well, was going to have a look at Stewart, but Stewart has invalidated his lap. Havoc Connor has gone back to the original Red Bull colours. I wonder if it's to try and differentiate from the Racing Bulls. Who knows? Benny, I missed that. I do apologise. A 130.981. Very quick lap from the McLaren there. What is Havoc Connor going to be able to do? Is he going to be able to get himself into the top 6 or 7? There we go. Top 6. 131.7. Not a bad lap at all from Havoc Connor there. Let's hope that he can translate that into decent points for the Red Bull team this time out. And there is an absolute parade of cars behind Benny here. Everyone has come out onto their fast lap. Cassell is one of the first, I believe. Although it might be Mirror. Yes, it is. It's Mirror who is the first of the drivers, who is going to be setting a fast lap, giving him plenty of time to try and get around again if this is not faster. 131.4. Just under a tenth faster. Now we have Benny coming round, but he will be going into the pits. Kavolis and crew will be starting their laps. Cassell will be the next driver to set a time. Will these drivers be able to get across the line in the next 30 seconds? They are taking their time back there. Tom Putty is the last of them who has not started their flyer yet. Well, there we go. He has done it with 11 seconds to go. Cassell comes across the line, puts himself in P10 with a 132.3. We now have Andre coming around the final corner. That's a 131.6 from Andre. Puts him into P6. Good lap from the Ferrari driver there. Mirror has invalidated his second lap there. Cavolis very wide through that corner there, although that was a purple sector 2 by the look of things. So it's going to be Cavolis, and then we will jump over to Grelis, who will be the next man to cross the line. Not sure from this angle, that looked like Cavolis tapped the wall on the outside. Can't be sure. Up to P6 for Cavolis. Grelis a 1:30.7. That's an amazing lap. Miyagi up to P3. Mars Ranger does not improve his position. Giannis improves his time but does not improve his position. Tom Putty does not improve position either. Andre has already finished. Stewart was very sad and went into the pits, as does Cassell. That is your final running for qualifying. Moncho did not set a time. I wonder why. But your big story, Grelis is on pole position once again with a 1:30.773. 2 tenths behind him is Benny in the McLaren. And then near enough 5 tenths behind him is Miyagi with a 1:31.4. That was a good dry qualifying. We do enjoy the speed around this track. We will be going on board with Miyagi at the start of the race until the braking zone. But there you have it, ladies and gents. Your lineup is Grelis, Benny, Miyagi, Mirror, Mars Ranger, Cavolis, Andre, Havoc Connor, Stewart, Bogorovsky, Giannis, Tom Putty, Cassell, and Moncho, who did not set a running time in qualifying. He did not exit the pits. So, if you are in the chat right now, do give us your predictions for who is going to win, who is going to be on the podium for tonight's race. I have a slight feeling that there will be a safety car at some point. If not early on, it will be late into the race with someone who has taken their tyres a little bit too long. Potentially into a wall, or more than likely a puncture. But we will have to wait and see whether we get any safety cars during this race. Will there be any surprise finishes for us this evening? Will someone surprise us and get themselves onto the podium around this Las Vegas track? As the lights go green for us to have the formation lap started by Grelis, who is on the medium tyres to start. Let's have a look at what people are doing. So, 12 of the 14 drivers are starting on the medium tyre. Everyone up until Tom Putty in 12th, who is on the hard tyres along with Cassell. So Cassell and Tom Putty are going for the long overcut for their first stint, or so they hope. Moncho is in the race. He is taking part in the formation lap, it would seem. So he just did not want to qualify this evening. I am surprised, though, that Andre did not start on the softs. He does like to do some strange strategies. Apart from last week in Brazil, he was absolutely on fire during Division 2 last week, and only lost out on the win due to underfueling and not saving the fuel. So he ended up P3 instead of P1. Grelis and Benny have got a massive gap between them at the moment and the cars behind. Miyagi is holding the train back, it would seem, to let Benny and Grelis's tyres cool down an insane amount. Although he didn't wait to get back into his box. So, scrap what I said. So let's go on board with Miyagi in this highlighter pink V-carb. 3 red lights, 4, 5, and away we go. That was not a long pause at all. And Miyagi has lost out to Mirror. Mirror goes up the inside nice and clean. Benny and Grelis got away wonderfully. Miyagi has got the position back from Mirror. Mars Ranger goes past Cavolis. I believe they were jostling for position through turns 2, 3 and 4. A little bit of a wheel touch, but not much could be done through that corner. Janice and Andre. Stewart makes a move on Masked Ranger. Janice and Andre swapping positions as they came through the chicane. Janice has amazing overspeed through the corners there. Wow. And Andre goes into the back of him and has lost the end plates. No. That's not going to help the Ferrari in the slightest around this track. Everything's a little bit tame in the top 5 at the moment. Well, it's a top 4 at this moment in time at least. Although Stewart has clawed his way back in as Mirror seems to have trouble getting through the chicane there. Grelis with the fastest lap at this moment in time, being the first car to cross the line. Oh! Miyagi was sideways through turns 1 and 2. That is not going to help him in the slightest, and he has to do the entire lap with wing damage. I wonder if he was tagged from behind. Tom Putty is out. Straight on at turn 5. There is our first safety car, ladies and gentlemen. That is unfortunate for Tom Putty. I have done that myself in the past. It's not fun at all, especially if there's a car trying to overtake you on the inside. Now, we've only got to lap 2 before a safety car has come out. Miyagi will be able to pit under the safety car and at this moment in time not lose any positions. He will be able to replace his wing, get a fresh set of medium tyres on if he has them, and basically start again. So, while we are following the safety car, we will have a look at the position changes. Stewart, at the moment, is the biggest winner with 5 positions gained up to P4 from P9. Of course, unfortunately, one of those was the biggest loser in Miyagi, who has dropped to the back of the field. But Cassell and Moncho sticking to their guns, 4 positions gained. The only people who have not changed position in the slightest are Grellis and Benny out in front. Looked like Grellis almost hit the back of the safety car coming round that corner. He has to behave himself. Now, are these cars going to be close enough? It wouldn't happen this lap anyway. I'm talking nonsense. Please ignore me. So the safety car should come in next lap. That is once Miyagi has caught up to the back of the field, which he will do in this little corner sequence here. There we go, he is on the back of the train. So we're going to have basically a formation lap under the safety car. And we will be going racing again at the start of lap 5. Although Giannis has jumped into the pits, I wonder, is he going onto the hard tyres? He is, and Miyagi has also gone onto the hards. So Miyagi is potentially going to have to pit again at the end of the race, unless he can nurse the tyres while attacking and making moves. We will see what he can do. Okay, with Giannis dropping into the pits, it means that Bogorovsky has joined the party of cars that have not made progress or lost any positions, along with Grellis and Benny. No one on penalties. 4 cars have stopped, 1 has DNF'd. Now the real question is, will Grellis go early, or will he wait until the last second to try and get the jump on Benny? Cars all weaving now. The safety car should be coming in this lap, but it is not. What the hell? Oh, because Giannis hadn't caught the back of the pack, I guess. Oh dear. So we go for one more. So this might work in the favour of Giannis and Miyagi, because the closer they get to the end of this race, before this safety car comes in, the further they can take those hard tyres. They may well go to the end of the race on these tyres. I know Grillis said it about me in Division 2 last week. I couldn't do it. My tyre wear was just atrocious. So, but I know around here it is possible to do around 19-20 laps on the hard tyres. But that's as long as you have a chance to have clean air, to not scrub the tyres too rough in the early stages of the stint. You want them to live as long as possible. So now Grelis will be warming his tyres, hoping for the safety car to come in at the end of the lap. We have not been told whether it is coming in. There we go. A relatively late safety car call. I say that because the sector is at the beginning of the strip. So he could have been backing up the field for the entirety of the strip, warming his tyres, then bolted out of the final chicane. But unfortunately for Grelis, he won't be able to do so. He will go on board, and he is gone. And he does catch Benny unawares a little bit. Makes a half-second gap to the McLaren behind. Seems that everyone has got themselves away cleanly, except for Mars Ranger, and it looked like Stewart was involved. It might have been Cavolis, so do not quote me on that one. But Mars Ranger comes out ahead of Cavolis in that situation, but he has a massive gap ahead of him now. So we now have two trains, P1s to P4 and P5 down to P13. Once drivers start getting onto the strip, we will see who is the closest to the back of the other drivers. Looks like Benny is going to be very close to Grelis coming out of here. He loses 2 tenths in the corner though. Just couldn't get the drive that he wanted. But that is some immense overspeed. He is catching Grelis and not even burning the battery by the look of things. Miyagi has already got himself ahead of Andre into the final chicane. That is a good job from him. It's exactly what he needs to do. Benny now sets the fastest lap with a 1:35.431. Mirror sticking with the back of these two as best he can. He knows that if either one of them makes a mistake, he can pounce. Stewart has got himself back into the DRS of Mirror. So this has now become a quartet up front. Mars Ranger seems to be struggling to catch the back of Stewart. As far as I know, Stewart does enjoy his street circuits. He enjoys Jeddah immensely, as far as I can remember. But there is a gap between Cavolis and Havoc Connor. So it is now going to be down to Benny, Mirror to make a move on Grelis if they can. Grelis hanging out very wide through the kink on the strip to try and break the toe to the cars behind. Benny does not have enough to get past Grelis this time out. Andre overtakes... Oh, Janice almost into the side of the Ferrari there. Havoc Connor has caught up to Masked Ranger, who has been passed by Cavolis. And Havoc Connor has left the session. Let's get him back in. That's unfortunate for the Red Bull driver. He was doing really well there. He has switched back over to PlayStation to try and negate this problem. But it seems that it's an overarching internet issue. Stewart has a massive gap ahead of him of 2.5 seconds to mirror. Masked Ranger has caught up with Cavolis. Cassell gets himself past the AI-controlled Havoc Connor. Havoc Connor has now joined and has lost a position and a fair amount of time to the cars behind, as Bogorovsky now gets himself past what is still technically AI Havoc Connor. Miyagi gets himself back past Andre on the strip here, and he goes past Havoc Connor. Are we going to see a change up the front? Mirror is right on Benny, but cannot get the move done. Potentially burning a bit more battery than Benny on the run up to the start-finish line. Has Havoc Connor been able to get back into the car? I am uncertain at this moment in time. Okay, that is not an AI line, so that is Havoc Connor in the car. He's going to do what he can to try and catch up to the back of the pack now, as he has dropped out of the DRS due to his internet connection. Are Benny or Mirror going to be able to make a move on Grelis? Here comes Benny. Goes for the outside line on Grelis. Both cars brake very late. And he can't get the move done. Can't get it completed. He's burning that battery to try and stay with the Red Bull ahead. He tucks to the inside. Grelis goes very wide, almost hitting the wall there. Grelis trying to hang around the outside of turns 1 and 2. He will be on the inside for 3 and 4. But I believe he will lose out to DRS. No, neither of them got the DRS. Oh, Benny slides it into turn 5, clipping the wall for good measure on the way out. Masked Ranger gets himself past Cavolis. Give me a better camera, please. Stewart is now holding up Masked Ranger, which is unfortunate for the Aston Martin, as we know he can be quick and he's good with his strategy. Stewart is now 4.3 seconds off of the leading pack. I think with the way that Stewart's season has gone so far, I think P4 will be a good result for him. He's not necessarily enjoyed many of the races this season and hasn't taken part in a few of them. Masked Ranger dives up the inside. Oh, almost puts Stewart in a wall there. Stewart gets away unscathed. but is coming into the pits. So Mars Ranger is now unleashed, but with Moncho and Cavolis right with him. This is a surprisingly early... Well, I say early. It's not necessarily early if you've been on the mediums from the start. So, ignore me completely. I thought we were a lot earlier because of the safety car. Mira is still sniffing the exhaust pipe of Benny in that McLaren. Mira knows that he is in probably the best position he could be in at this moment in time. Because as long as he stays in the DRS of these two drivers ahead, he has a chance at the win tonight. We'll go on with Benny and Mira. We will see if they are able to make the move on Grelis. Does Grelis go defensive this time round? Doesn't look like it. It looks like this is going to be a job done after the pit stops, or maybe even during them. Benny seems to struggle coming out of the chicane there. Both Grelis and Benny going for the undercut. Mira inherits P1, going for the slight overcut. We will see what happens there. Miyagi is now back up to P2. So we will see what people have done. So everyone P1 to P6 have not pitted this lap. They have either gone the entire race on these tyres, or they have pitted under the safety car earlier on. Apart from Stewart and Havoc Connor, who pitted a lap earlier than the rest of the field. It will be interesting to see if Miyagi can take these tyres all the way to the end. It is doable, but sliding like that is not going to help you in the slightest. Janice is now going to be benefiting from the DRS less McLaren ahead of him. Able to get that little bit closer, just not enough to get past at this moment in time. Mira now comes into the pits, as Miyagi has now inherited P1. Barry Bogarowski has also come into the pits, so it is a V-Carb 1-2. The Racing Bulls are P1 and P2. We have Stewart with the fastest lap on these hard tyres. As I said, he enjoys his street circuits. The good news for him, he is behind Mira now, and a lot closer than he was previously. So everyone is now on the hard tyres. Everyone, apart from Cassell, has done a pit stop. And so far, no penalties. So Grelis and Benny on the fresher hard tyres are now creeping up on the back of Cassell and Andre, who are on, I believe it's 10 lap old hard tyres for this part of the race, because both of those cars stopped. No, sorry, Cassell did not stop under the safety car. He has been on the hards from the start of the race. However, Andre stopped under the safety car on lap 3. Grelis has a massive amount of overspeed. Look at that, a 134.6 in race trim. The thing is, these cars do not have to let him past. They do not have to get out of his way. They are not back markers. They are in these positions due to their strategy. So they do not have to yield to the cars that are trying to come through now. Has Havoc Connor been able to catch up to the back of the group? He has caught up to Bogorovsky. It was unfortunate when he disconnected, purely for the fact that he was about to make a move on Mars Ranger, it looked like. And he would have been well in the points. Let's keep an eye on Grelis and Benny. And Stewart is the first man to get himself a penalty. Obviously a corner cut coming onto the strip by the look of things. Benny and Grelis. Oh my word. Andre almost taking out Grelis there. Grelis is not going to be best pleased with Andre for that love tap, shall we say. But Grelis now gets himself past the Ferrari. The Ferrari didn't fix his end plate. He didn't change his wing in the pit stop. That is probably a mistake from the Polish driver. Cassell has finally come into the pits. More than likely going to be doing 10 laps on the medium tyres. So Benny is catching up to Giannis. Giannis needs to put his foot down. Either that or hold up the McLaren and the Red Bull behind and let his teammate get the win. Because Miyagi needs to get 25 points this evening to keep himself really in the fight for the championship. Janice cannot really fight Benny all that much, although he is matching pace and Benny had DRS. Janice is still ahead. That was amazing from Janice, but he loses it on the exit. That's unfortunate. He is on the inside. Grelis trying to sweep around the outside of Benny and does it through the final corner and turn one. Mars Ranger now with a 34.5 as the fastest lap. Mira has now caught up to the labouring Andre. Benny and Grelis are really fighting for it right now. A slight lock-up from the McLaren driver, but he was managed to get the car stopped in time. Now for these two drivers, it is a case of help each other out. Use the DRS, get back to Miyagi. Because Miyagi technically does not need to pit. Unless he feels his tyres cannot make it, he does not need to pit. There is a 7-second gap between him and the McLaren behind him. Mars Ranger makes a move on Stewart. Mira gets himself past Andre ahead of them. Cassell is very much out of position after not stopping earlier on. Andre has come into the pits to come off of these hard tyres. He's going on to a fresh set of mediums and fixing his wing. I think he's been listening to the commentary. Andre, you're a plonker. That's all I can say about that. So now you are coming out in 13th and dead last on the same tyres as Cassell. So you have got your work cut out for you. Stewart is now trying to catch back to Masked Ranger ahead of him for P6. Mirror is trying to get past Janice. It's a very unorthodox position to try and make the pass. You are always better off waiting for the DRS. Well, let's go on board and see this overspeed when the DRS kicks in. I mean, he's almost got him without the DRS. There we go. Janice is no doubt burning the battery. Oh my word. Contact lockup. More contact. And Janice has ended up dropping positions and having damage to his wing. He is going to come straight into the pits and get that fixed. That is unfortunate for the V-Carb driver. I have a feeling Miyagi might be sweating a little bit now, as he has got 7 or 8 laps to go on these tyres, and he doesn't want to lose too much time to the cars behind him on the fresher rubber. So Grelis is currently the closest driver to anyone else at this moment in time. So we'll stay with him. Will he be able to get the DRS to pass Benny? He's not burning the battery. He's conserving. And even so, he's pretty much pushing Benny through that final chicane. And they are gaining time hand over fist on Miyagi. I wonder if Miyagi is struggling right now. Cavola's doing a respectable job considering the contact that happened earlier on. Moncho is going to want to get past Masked Ranger as quickly as possible and catch up to Stewart. He has 2 seconds to catch. 1 whole second to get himself into the DRS of the Williams ahead. And look at that, he is already starting to bring that time down. Now, it's unlikely that Moncho and Mirror are in a call together, but if I was talking to my teammate, I would be asking him to try and slow the Williams down. Although, the Williams seems to be having a little bit of a hard time at the moment. Moncho, even without DRS, is catching up to Stewart. Wow. Does Stewart have a higher downforce setup than what you would normally expect for Las Vegas? Something that relies on DRS to be quick. Things have calmed down a little bit. There are gaps all over the place. Cavolis gets himself past Mars Ranger. Nice, easy job done under the DRS in Sector 1. There's Moncho already in the DRS of the Williams ahead of him. And closing the gap is Stewart struggling. He's not even quicker through the corners at this point. How long has Stewart been on the tyres? Only 1 lap longer. I have a feeling Stewart is chewing through these hard tyres. As Grelis gets himself past Benny into the chicane, Moncho, long before the final chicane, gets himself ahead of Stewart. Now is he going to be able to break away and catch his teammate? Bit of a lock up into turn 1. Does Stewart have damage? No, he does not have any wing damage. Not that we can see, at least. So it must be that his tyres are completely dying at this point. Potentially went a bit too hard too early and took too much out of the tyre. Meanwhile, Grelis and Benny have been reeling in Miyagi out in front, down to 2.5 seconds being the gap. That's insanity. I swear, Grelis and Benny need their own tier. Like, they need to be put in Division 0.5 or whatever you want to call it. And it is strange to think that they are both on completely different inputs. Grelis is on a wheel, while Benny is on controller. And he is able to keep pace with Grelis. So it goes to show you can practice way too much and get to the point of matching someone on a wheel. Stewart now trying to stay with Moncho. Mars Ranger trying to catch the back of Cavolis. Are we going to have an interesting last 3 laps? I'll say, because Grelis is almost in the DRS of Miyagi. Because Miyagi has gone 19 laps. On his hard tyres. That is a crazy amount of time to be on these tyres. They will be dying right about now. I would say he would be around 60 to 65% wear on lap 22. He is going to have to nurse these tyres to the end of the race. Because if he pits now, he is going to lose out massively on positions. Even if he wants to go for the fastest lap, it's not going to be enough. But as I said, Grelis and Benny need their own tier in DTR. Is Mars Ranger going to be able to make the move on Cavolis this time around? Or is he waiting until the penultimate lap? He definitely surprised us last week in Brazil in the feature race. An amazing strategy. Being able to read the weather the way that he did. And pulling out a brilliant maiden win. Benny not close enough to get past Grelis this time around. Mars Ranger also not quite close enough to get himself past Cavolis. Although Andre is making the move on Cassell right now. Both being out of the points at this point, but you might as well race. It's all about fun at the end of the day. Look at this. Grelis and Benny are within a second of Miyagi on those old hard tyres. Let's have a look at them. You can just about see the grading. When he goes through the slow corners, you can see the texture on the tyre being absolutely awful. He is going to be getting very close to puncture territory. Although he has only got one more lap to go after this one. I am very impressed with the longevity that he has got out of the tyres. It might not be the best strategy, but it was what he could do with what he was given, considering the incident that he had just before the safety car. So he has dropped a position to his title rival Grelis. It's not what he would have wanted, but I wonder, is he going to be able to make a move on this final lap through the DRS zones? We will stay on with the front three here, because the only other race that's going on is outside of the points. Is Grelis going to be... He's pulled out a second. That's just evil, Grelis, giving the man hope up until this point. So we will now call him Grelis the Evil Grape Spade. He gave the man hope and then dashed it going through the corners. We will go on with Benny in this DRS zone. Giannis sets the fastest lap with a 1:33.2. He is in last position, P13. So he might as well have gone for the fastest lap. Has Benny got the move done? He does. Massive lockup though into the final chicane. Took the bollard with him for good measure, and Miyagi is around again. Almost takes out the Alpine. That is unfortunate for Miyagi. That is so sad. Mira comes in third. So we have Grelis, Benny, Mira, Moncho, Cavolis, Mars Ranger, Stuart Bogorovsky, Havoc Connor, and Miyagi put it in a wall-out frustration. I can kind of understand that. Andre gets himself a point due to that. Cassell in P11. And Giannis will overtake his teammate. Cassell has left the session. And Giannis completes the race for us, getting P12. Now, I understand the frustration from Miyagi, but he should have finished the race at least. He would have been able to get some points. Congratulations to Grellis and Benny and Mirror for the podium positions. So there you go. Your driver of the day was Moncho. Fastest lap was Giannis. Winner was Grellis. Most overtakes Andre, and cleanest driver was also Andre. So there you have it, ladies and gents. Grellis finished in P1, Benny P2, Mirror in P3, Moncho P4, Cavolis P5, Mars Ranger P6, Stewart in 7th, Bogarovsky in 8th, Havoc Connor in 9th, and Andre in 10th. That is your points paying positions. Let us go over to the screen there. So I just want to wish everyone a wonderful evening. I hope everyone enjoyed the race. Not so much the commentary, because I'm almost always monotone and boring as all hell, but hopefully the footage will keep you captivated. Join us again tomorrow night as Grellis will take on the comms for Division 2 at Las Vegas. I would expect more safety cars tomorrow. But yeah. Hope everyone has a wonderful evening. Good night.